Hey guys, so today I'm going to be wrapping up for you what I read in the month of July, and I had such a good reading month this month. I found two of my absolute favorite books of all time. I'm so happy that I found them, and oh, I just can't handle it. So I'm really happy to share them with you in this video, and I will get on to the books that I read in July, like right now. So here we go. The first book I read was Me, Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. I gave this 2.5 stars. The story itself was very disappointing and very depressing for me. I didn't like it. I didn't really like the main character either. The only character I liked in this book was Earl. Earl was just spectacular. I absolutely loved Earl. Oh, favorite. The thing with this book I found was that the story, like I said before, is depressing, but it juxtapositions with the writing. The writing was absolutely hilarious. I was on the train reading this and I was laughing out so loud. It wasn't even funny, but it was funny. That's not what. I'm still kind of contemplating how that can be. How the writing is so hilarious, but at the same time the story is really depressing. It's mind-boggling. Yeah, so overall this book was kind of a letdown for me, but I'm still weirdly excited for the movie. I've seen the trailers and I am excited. It's weird. I don't even understand it. The next book I read was Paula Hawkins' The Girl on the Train. I had heard so much hype, so much buzz about this book, and I was very interested and very intrigued. Going into it, I did not really know what it was about, besides there was a girl and she was on a train. From the title. But I found that the characters themselves were quite interesting. They were very distinct and they were quite disturbed, which I don't really blame them. This story as a whole is quite disturbing and it's very dark, very intense, quite horrific in some parts. And the pacing was quite roller coastery. Like in some parts it's quite slow and quite dragged out. But in other parts, you just take a nosedive and it's just so fast-paced, you're just like, whoa, like slow down. Overall, the mystery itself was quite well done. I did like it, but I did guess it. So that was kind of disappointing, but kind of awesome too, because it's really awesome when you're proved right in books. It's just like, hell yeah, I got it right. So I gave it 4.5 stars. It was a good mystery thriller, but it wasn't a great mystery thriller. Then I read Unspoken by Sarah Rees Brennan, and this book was my reprieve after The Girl on the Train, which was very dark, very intense, very disturbing. So jumping into Unspoken, which was light and fluffy and everything I needed to lift my spirits, it just gave me everything I needed. So Unspoken was very entertaining. I gave it 4.75 stars because the ending was quite heartbreaking and it was a little bit confusing for me, but besides that, it had everything I needed and everything I loved in a book. It kept me hooked on the edge of my seat. I was very invested in the story. It just had great characters, an awesome plot, such easy to read writing, humorous, witty, great dialogue, and just the family dynamic in this book too is awesome. And also the diversity and the unstereotypical quality of this book I really enjoyed. All the things that I adore, it was there. I highly recommend you guys picking it up. I absolutely loved it. Then I picked up To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. This is a reread for me. I absolutely loved it the second time around. This book is so entertaining, absolutely adorable in every single way. I could not put it down. I finished it in one read. If you haven't picked this book up, what are you doing? Then of course I picked up P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han, the sequel to All the Boys I've Loved Before. I absolutely love this too, but I didn't love it as much as the first one. I feel like this is the end of the duology, but I feel like it could be a trilogy, if you know what I mean. If you've read this book, you know what I mean. But I loved it, I loved it, I loved it so much. 5 stars for this duology. Now we get to one of my absolute favorite books of all time, Aristotle and Dante. What? Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Aliri Seynez. I can't stress this enough, how absolutely stunning this novel is. It is beautiful. I cannot put it into words how much I love this book so much. If I could phrase how much I love this book, it would be all those 5-star ratings that I've ever given to a book before, I would rate them just a little bit lower and give this book the 5 stars. That is how much I love this book. It is just top in my books. I said books too many times. This book just means everything to me. I read it in one sitting. It is so compelling and it is just heartwarming, heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, all the heart feels. I cannot recommend this book enough, to the moon and back. I love it to pieces. And if you haven't read this contemporary self-discovery book with great family element to it, you need to get on that. Then I picked up Burial Rites by Hannah Kent, and the writing in this book is a piece of art just by itself. The writing is poetically breathtaking and so enchanting, and just this story itself is quite haunting and very bittersweet. Just that is how I would describe this book, and I highly recommend it. It is truly a wondrous thing to behold. I loved it. 4 out of 5 stars. Then I kind of needed a light and a little bit less intense book, so I went with Pushing the Limits by Katie McGarry. And if you've read this book, this is kind of intense and not really light and fluffy at all. So, my mistake, but overall I have a kind of like-hate relationship with this book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't really love the characters, I didn't really love the story, I didn't really love the writing. It was just kind of okay. So the book that is tying for first place with Aristotle and Dante as my favorite book of all time, it is Jandy Nelson's I'll Give You the Sun. I know so many people who absolutely love this book and say so many great things about this book, and the hype about this book is truly true. It really is a wonderful book and I can't recommend it enough. It was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Just everything to do with this book is so whimsical, so otherworldly. The writing is just beyond perfection. I can't even stand it, but I will stand it because it was beautiful. And the last book I read was The Skies Everywhere by Jandy Nelson, because I just could not get enough of Jandy Nelson books. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It was not as good as I'll Give You the Sun, but then again, nothing can be as good as I'll Give You the Sun, because that book is just heavenly. Oh, it's so good, so good. But I still really enjoyed this book. Jandy Nelson's storytelling, phenomenal. Alright, so that is the end of my July wrap up. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Yes.
You said hey, so I said hey.
I was saying hi to them.
Oh, I see. No, I feel left out.
Does. The only thing that I really liked in this book were 2 things. 2 things. So jumping into Unspoken was a good all-around choice for everyone. For me, why everyone? I don't know.